Hello YouTube, how you doing? Alex again with part 2 of your first drum lesson. I did one a few days ago and this is the follow-up to that. And this one I'm going to go a little bit more in depth and look at the theory behind what we were doing, including learning the value of certain notes, i.e. quarter notes, eighth notes and 16th notes, how to count them and their relevance in terms of putting together some beats and some fills. Okay, so we'll carry on straight off from where we did the straight sort of Billie Jean rock beat. And then we'll sort of progress it a little bit and see if we can just take it a bit further and chuck in a fill as well. Alright, okay, so sit back and enjoy. And learn. Learning is the key. Okay. So the first, what we did last week was... Alright, now we're going to learn the theory behind that a little bit. So I was teaching you to count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't need to think about it like that anymore because we're better people now. So, what we're going to try and do is, I'm going to teach you about, first of all, quarter notes. Now, quarter notes are they're called quarter notes because they're a quarter of one measure, or one bar, or a whole note. Okay, and that's how we measure music in. And then the most common kind of measurement, or time signatures we call them, would be 4-4. Okay, so that's counting 4 quarter notes equals 1 bar. Right, and what we were doing last week is we were playing that with our bass drum and our snare drum. We were going, we were going 1, 2, 3, 4, and our hi-hats, instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4 now, we're going to count them as what they are, which are eighth notes, and we count these as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that adds up to 8, and so 8 of those, twice as fast as our quarter notes, again, add up to this whole note or this bar of music, or one measure, whatever you want to call it. Right, we don't count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because you want to keep it to single syllables. Okay, you don't want to be saying too many things over and again, especially when you speed up, it becomes almost impossible. So I'll count what we did last week using this new theory we've learned today. So technically it should be like this. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Now, what we're going to add now is an extra bass drum and an extra snare drum. And we can add this to, if we look at the bass drums first, we can add a bass drum to the and of 3, which will make it sound like this. It'll be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. We could add a snare drum to the and of 4 as well, so I'll put that on top. So you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, I'll just underline the fact that all of these notes, or exactly snare drum and bass drum notes, are exactly the same time as I'm hitting my right hand on the hi-hat. Alright? We can then start shifting and moving them about. In fact, if I play you bass drum notes on 1 and 3 and, you'll probably recognise this beat from Queen's We Will Rock You, which sounds like this. Stamped and clapped it before. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright? Now if we add, I could chuck in the extra snare drums, so we could put them on the 2 and the 4 and, which will give us this. 1 and 3 and 1 and 2 3 and. Or we could mix it up, so we've got, I'll play a bass drum on beat 1, a snare drum on beat 2, a bass drum on beats 3 and, if that makes sense, and then a snare drum on 4 and the and of 4. That's probably how I should have said it the first time, which will sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. I could bring those extra snare drums and bass drums earlier to give us 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so it's up to you how far you want to sort of mess around with these. And I'll tell you what, I'll do another lesson next week, and I'll just, I've got like a little book where I've written down about 25 sort of variations of where you can put the bass drums and snare drums all playing at the same time as the hi-hat. Right, okay, now let's look at the fill. Now the fill, we're going to be looking at another rhythm. Okay, these are 16th notes, okay, so it's twice as fast as what we're playing on the hi-hat. So with our right hand, we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, And the right hand's not going to change, we're just going to add the left hand, which was to give us 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. Right, if we divide that 16 by 4, we get 4 groups of 4, which we count as 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4. And again, we don't count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, because as soon as you're going a little bit faster, you're going to get tongue-tied pretty easily. So we count it 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. Okay? If I add this, following on from one of our beats, there's another thing I should mention. When we're doing this, I mentioned how important it is to count to 4. Usually we're going to do little rounds of 4 bars as well, and we do 3 beats, okay, and then on the 4th bar we'd do a drum fill. And at the end of that 4-bar cycle, you'd probably hear a crash, or normally you'd hear a crash. You quite often hear it at the end of drum fills. It's like the start of a new sentence, and like a new sentence that starts with a capital letter on the first note, or the first letter. Alright, so the same sort of principle lies here. So I'm going to play a 3-bar drum fill, or sorry, 3 bars of a drum beat, which will just use bass drums and snare drums on the 1s and the ends and 2s and 3s and 4s, which I'll explain a second ago. And then I'm going to chuck in a random fill, just using our 16th notes, playing groups of 4 on each drum, followed by a crash. Here we go. So we've got bar 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 2, 1, and 2, 3, and 4, 1, and 2, 3, and 4, fill. Okay, so that crash is actually the first note of beat 1. Sorry, the first note of our next group of 4 bars. I know it's a little bit complicated, but it's a lot of it you'll feel at the same time. So let's try something different. Let's practice going from the drum fill back into the beat, because this can be a challenge for some people as well. So for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to do 4 notes here. 4 here, 4 here, 4. And then I'm going to hit my notes, so I'm going to start counting from 1 against, I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, that would be the start of my next bar. If I was to play this a little bit faster, you've really got to rush from that crash cymbal to get in your and of 1 on here. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3. I suggest practicing hitting that crash on beat 1 at the start of every bar, like I just did then. Okay, let's experiment with another couple of fills. So I'm just giving you 1 or 2 ideas here, but what you can do is, as long as you're counting in these 16th note patterns, you can start moving these patterns all around the kit, all over the place, and start coming up with your own ideas. A lot of you will have 4 drums, like I said, you know, that gives you more options technically, but don't worry if you haven't got so many. I mean, I've only got 2 toms here, which keeps it nice and simple. So I'm going to be moving around. So let's try, how about we start off on the high tom, go to the floor tom, and then we'll sort of work our way around like this. So we end up going... Nothing special. I just, instead of doing 1 group of 4 on each drum and moving that pattern around, I just did 2 groups of 4 in a row. So I end up going 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and then came down on my crash. Alright, so now hopefully knowing these few basic rules, you can start to develop some ideas of your own. Okay, and I will, like I said, I'll do another video in which I'll just look at just the beats and just other placements and ideas where you can put these bass drums and snare drums which are playing at the same time as the hi-hat. So if you're going to take anything out of this, you want to take how to count your quarter notes. Simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count your 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and your 16th notes, which is twice as fast again. 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. Alright? So play around with those. If you've got any questions, just leave a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or I'll email you or anything like that. But you know, if you like it, tick that little thumbs up icon, and that sends me a like, which makes me smile. As well, if you subscribe please, that'd be cool, so I know at least 2's following around. And yeah, we can get some communication going, and I can help you along your way to learning how to play drums or just getting better if you're trying to learn a bit more anyway. Alright, until then YouTube, look after yourselves, practice, don't be too eager. Okay, sometimes when you're too eager, it will actually hesitate, it will slow you down in your progress, okay? So just be patient, practice slow, and I promise you the results will follow. Alright, okay, until next time, have fun.